Subscribe, please.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I am here with part 10. Yes, part 10 of Thunder in the East by Frank Chadwick. I got to say, I've been thoroughly enjoying this monster of a game. Before we get started with the next Russian turn, got one little sad announcement I got to make as far as Thunder in the East is concerned. I need this table back. Actually, these tables. It's on two big tables. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep this one up. There are some big games releasing here soon. There's a couple I expect within the next couple of weeks, just depending on when things actually arrive. So I am going to get out as many more videos of Thunder in the East as I can, but I probably will not be able to finish the Barbarossa campaign, because if I finished it out, it'd probably end up being something like 25, 30 videos, just depending on how long it took in the end. And I'm just not going to have that amount of time to devote to this one game. So I will continue. I'm going to keep it up as long as possible, but once a few things arrive, one of which is U-Boat, the Kickstarter. That should be getting to me at some point here very soon. When it arrives, it's definitely going to be going on the table, because I can show that off. Definitely been waiting on that one for a while. Real excited to get it. There are a couple others, and like I said, it has nothing to do with me not wanting to keep this up. I definitely do not want to take it down. I just need the space. I only have so many tables I can have games up on, and some of the others are occupied. You know, the kids want to eat, and the wife doesn't want games all over the house for some reason, which I haven't been able to figure out yet. So I will keep it up as long as possible. Don't know how many more videos I'll get up on it, but I will play it out to, whatever conclusion I can, because I am thoroughly enjoying the shit out of it. Gotta say, probably one of my favorite monsters that I've played. Now, Unconditional Surrender is one of my favorite strategic type games, but I don't really think of that one as a monster. That one's kind of, it's toned down. It's so counter light, it doesn't really fall in the monster category for me, even though it is very large in scope. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's get on with the turn so I can get as far as I can. We left off with the Germans. The Germans had done very well on their previous turn. They had made good inroads here in the center. They consolidated a lot of units into stronger units. They're looking to continue that push as well. We had not started the push down there in Romania, but that is going to be coming. So I'm kind of debating doing a Russian counterattack this turn to do what damage I can there. But I'm almost thinking, use them as a holding action just to hold them back as long as possible, and focus my forces here with the Russians versus trying to do damage to units that aren't going to matter too much in the long run. They just need to be held back, not defeated. This is what needs to be defeated as, best as humanly possible. All right, so that's what we're facing, and we have taken some serious losses as the Russians. A lot of units have been wiped out. A lot of units have been reduced, but the Russians do have an advantage in manpower and extra counters, extra forces. They can get a lot more to the board than the Germans, so we're going to have to play towards that angle now. Previously, I was trying to put more in front of the Germans, just as many counters as I could get, but that really wasn't doing any good, because it just gave the Germans the ability to kind of one-shot some smaller units. So this turn, I'm going to focus a little bit more on building up stronger units that could be a little more intimidating, force them back just a little bit, because it seems like those 8-4s have held their ground better than anything else. Everything else has just been steamrolled through. So we're going to pick right up at the start of our logistics phase with our supply step. Opponents' isolated HQs dissolve. We don't have any. Mark opponents' unsupplied and isolated units, which there should not be. We checked this. Now this one actually is isolated at the moment, this guard unit, but that did not happen until later. So we're not at the point in the game where it would get marked. So it's not until the next German turn that this unit gets marked isolated, as far as I understand the rules. So we wouldn't update that until later. So this unit still does not count. This Russian guard unit does not count as being isolated yet. Now, I think the rest of the German units all have lines of communication and supply, so nothing to worry about there. Hungarian units are Hungarian units. We don't have to worry about those guys. All right, and no attrition to roll for, no opponent abandoned, nothing to worry about there. We'll go to our repair and recovery step. Now, we actually get to repair some of our countdown markers this turn. We do have a few of those. Let's see, there is one up here. Let's see, that one's going from a 3 to a 2. Let's find a 2. Okay. Mark that as a 2. This one should be going from a 3 to a 2 as well. Come here, you little counter. Yeah, another 2. Mark him. All right. Is there another one? I thought there was another one. That might be the only 2. Yeah, because this one is a German one, so it's not going to go down. It wouldn't go down then. Yeah, repair by 1 your countdown markers. So it's not all countdown markers. So those are the only 2 that we have to worry about. So these, that dice doesn't need to be there because that thing is not putting out supply yet. Or is that a supply city? Nope, that is not a supply city. So, yeah, that's not putting out supply yet. Those HQs don't count as supplies, the ones way there in the back, but they will here in a couple of turns. I get why they do that, but I don't know, just from what I've been playing the game, I think it stalls it a little bit here in this Barbarossa campaign. Maybe the countdown markers make a little more sense in later campaigns, but I was talking to some people on Facebook and commenting on it, and especially the HQs, having the countdowns where they're shut down for 3 turns effectively. Well, I mean, this campaign's only 11 turns, I think. Was 11, 12, 10, somewhere in that range of turns. So you really only get to move, the headquarters once, maybe twice. It shuts you down so much that you're not going to make a whole lot of inroads. And yeah, just being out of supply isn't the biggest threat because your defense stays the same, but your attacks are halved. And having your attack halved as a 24 unit is bad because that's your major offensive unit. You're losing so much of your attack, and you're going to have to take and make a lot more, strategic type decisions, and you can't be as punchy when you lose that supply status. So maybe I would reduce that down a little bit to where it's only 1 or 2 turns that the HQs are down versus 3 to 4, depending. It's 3 if you just set it out, 4 if it gets forced back. So it just depends on how it works. Anyway, enough of rambling. All right, so we've got our countdown markers repaired. Now we have to do the whole thing with our repairing our aircraft, which is a little different for the Russians. They don't get to bring everything back from the flown box like the Germans do. Let's take and pan over there real quick because the placemat for my units, air units, is off to the side. Okay, so again, bear with me. I do have to hold it because I've got it tucked off to the side over here. But you can see there's the little note here that says that the Soviet repair and recovery step only half rounded up of their total aircraft in the flown box. Soviet players' choice can recover regardless of weather. Well, we've only got 1. So this guy gets to come up regardless. I'm going to go ahead and show you now just so I don't have to pan back over here later. But with the buying aircraft and repair and recovery step, you do have to spend fuel points to move these guys up. Max 10% rounded up per turn. I did spend some fuel points because I've already got that figured out. And this one, this IL-2, is going to be moving up into the flown box. It's still on its destroyed side, but it's there. And then we have some more that are down here that'll have to be repaired at a later date. All right, let's go back to the board. Okay, so we're back to the board, and we've completed our repair and recovery step for our aircraft. We got them taken care of, spent fuel points to take and repair some of them. We're all good as far as that's concerned, as far as this lower step is concerned. So now we can take and continue on. We're not going to take and rush to recover any of those. We're going to save those fuel points for other things that we need to spend them on, which is where we're getting into this order of battle step. Now, the first one is the event cards, which, again, we're here in the first week of the turn, so we can select up to 1 major or 2 minor cards, not to exceed the hand limit size. The Russians only have one in their hand right now, so they can pick another one. This is the one that I picked. This is Construction Brigades. And set aside this card during your order of battle step to harden or fortify, i.e. flip, any combination of up to 4 garrison infantry units or improved defense markers in supplied hexes not enemies under control. Basically, I want to hold on to this card and get more of those improved positions. And when I have a slew of them out, hit it with that card, so they'll all flip over into the extra improved positions, because they've got 2 on there now that are level 1. They're kind of close to the front lines though, so they might not be lasting much longer. But I'm wanting to have enough of those things to slow down the Germans as much as possible. Keep putting roadblocks in front of them as they're trying to push up. Okay, so that was the card. There's no withdrawal, no withdrawal. Place reinforcements as instructed. Okay, so we're at the point basically where we're buying our units, right, that we are going to purchase. Right here, we do have to maintain our speed limit, which again is 10% rounded up of its pool. That gives us 10 personnel points. And if I remember right, I think it was 3 equipment and 3 fuel points to spend, if I remember. Yeah, should be that. And then determine your HQ marker status. They're going to stay in the wider formation they are now, the balanced formation. They're not going to attack because they've only got a range of 4 with their HQs. And we do get our free improved defense marker. I'm going to go ahead and grab that real quick. Okay, so looking down here, you can see I've got a stack of units set aside. These are the ones that I went ahead and picked for the Russians to go ahead and get to the table. Between these and improving some of the ones that are already on the table, and then the fuel point that I spent over on the airplanes, that will cover the totality of what I'm allowed to spend this turn for the Russians. So we're going to start with flipping over certain units on the board. These are all personnel points that I'm spending to get these units improved, especially since these 3 are right here in the core of what's going on, the main thrust of the German attack. So improving them is just key. That's just the best idea right now. And that was 4 points. And then these are going to be another 2. That's another 2, another 2. And that should take care of all my points. Now, what I'm looking at with these is I want to get some more upgraded units and then some more actual units on the board. These are replacing some of the Russian infantry corps that are on the board. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm replacing where. Let's see, I've got 8-4 there, 8-4 there, 3 there. I know I'm going there with my reinforcements. Where do I want to replace these? There's only 1 8-4. There's an 8-4 there. They're relatively spread out. Maybe 1 more over here, and then 1 more back there is kind of an extra reinforcement. So yeah, we're going to take and replace these. These are getting upgraded, all right, is what I'm effectively doing with these units. And I didn't even have to grab the other counters. I could have just used these 2, but that's fine. And then these 2 are getting bought. I already know I'm setting them in these cities, and I'm setting them here. That way they have to spawn onto a city, but they can take and move in whatever direction. If the south needs more help, they can come to the south. If they need to push over here towards the center, they can take and do that. Now, I have improved positions here, 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 and here. So I need another one. I need to put another one on a city. Ooh, I got to put this one out to this HQ before I forget. Where do we want to go? Maybe far back with this guy. Because this HQ is still good. This HQ is still good. These 2 in the far back that you can barely see back there. Actually, let me pan the camera up just a little bit. These 2 in the far back, they are still on countdown mode. Let's see. Maybe here. Because if I go there, that'll give me a line of HQs as a fallback point when these 2 HQs inevitably collapse. because I'm almost thinking I'm just going to hold those HQs there as long as possible until they just absolutely collapse, because it's just one turn longer letting them collapse, and if I force them back too early, it takes the supply away, and then there's no attacks coming from the Russians, so I'll probably leave them there as long as possible. Now I've got this defensive position, this improved defensive position, and I want to take and put it somewhere where it'll do some good and slow the Germans down a little bit. You know what? There is another victory hex right here. We'll take and put it on it. Hopefully it'll slow them down a little bit, and it keeps building up our line that we have going across here, trying to slow down these German forces as much as possible. All right, so continue looking at our thing. We do have elite time. The Soviets may promote one corps to a guards unit, but I do believe we already did that in the previous video, so we can't do that again. And we already said our HQ mode step, they're staying in balance to take and throw out that supply as far as possible. So down to the special movement phase, and this is where we can do our special movement that is limited for infantry and mobile and all that stuff. The Soviets may voluntarily place on map early mech corps +1 equipment. I don't think I've got with those corps. I don't think I've got the points left to spend for that. Relocate your HQ markers, which we're not doing. Those are what I was just talking about. And move ground, air, naval units. Ground units may voluntarily break down and move via rail movement. Okay, so any of our infantry that are in enemy zones of control aren't going to be moving. Let me put this one back. So I'm thinking, looking up here at the top, I want to pull this guy back in. I want to slow down some of these advances. Damn, I'm not going to be able to get him in. I was looking if I could get him right to there, I could throw in a cross attack, pincer move this big infantry army of the Germans, but it's not going to be able to get far enough because it goes 1, 2, 3, and then it hits this zone of control on both sides, and it can't continue pushing into there. So I'd have to stop. But I could take and bring it over here, 1, 2, 3, and try to pincer down this German corps. So we'll do that 1, 2, 3, 4 into the woods. So that unit has moved. And since this is a special movement step, I will mark them with my little beads just to remember that I did it, because otherwise I might forget with some of these. Okay, so where else do we want to move? I'm looking here. I've got that minor river right there. You get it might be hard to see, but there is a minor river still here. And I think this is part of the reason this part of the line has been holding, is that minor river is a natural defense and gives them a natural shift to left on the attack thing. So they don't want to take and move any closer because they're going to lose that defense. And wouldn't matter anyway. They're in zones of control. They're in a zone of control. They're in a zone of control. Do we want to move this up? Well, let's move this one up. Oh, wait. Infantry can only move half. They can't move their full. That's right. Damn. I got to think about that. Let's see. 1, 2. 1, 2. We'll just move them up to there and try to move them later. Damn, I keep forgetting that. Yeah, I got to make sure and keep that in mind. Half movement allowance in the special movement phase for the infantry. So I cannot get the guy as close as I would like. But that's all right. We'll take and just move him up. It doesn't matter. There's nowhere I can get him to where he's close enough to an enemy. So we'll try to get him up later. We'll bring this one up as well, just because there's no reason holding him back on these victory hexes. I got to get forces up. So go 1, 2. Pull that over. He could move since he has the white movement factor, but there's no reason to move him. He's already pincering in, holding these units back, so he's going to stay all in zones of control. We're going to move this one up. 1, 2. He is in a zone of control. These guys are in zones of control. I can move him up. Well, if I go one, that's woods. That's extra movement points. I could bring him over here to put some. I'm kind of rolling it around in my head. Okay, if I move this one up, this one could move up, or that can move up into its place. Okay, yeah. Here's what we're gonna do. 1, 2 movement points on this large Russian army unit. This reduced one will move into the woods, so that takes care of that. Let's mark both of those guys as moved. So I remember. Gimpy with his shitty memory. This one, he's got the improved position. I'm going to leave him. All right, so this one moved up 2. Okay, and we definitely want to move these guys up. 1, 2. 1, 2. Mark them. And again, this is just my little mnemonic reminder to keep me on track. This guy could move since he's got the white movement factor and his enemies on control. This one definitely wants to fall back because he is friggin' surrounded like hell. But he'll move into the zone of control. He will have to stop, so he's going to have to stop there. Yeah, we'll move him there. Ooh, or maybe I should take and move this one back. No, he's right there on the river. We're going to pull this one back. I'm going to stick with that. We'll keep the line here. Do I want to take and double up on any of these? The mountain unit was heading down here to help with the mountains, so he's going to go 1, 2, because that symbol on that one does represent mountains. So we'll take and move him towards the mountains so he can help out. Mark him. So I remember I moved him. And mark. Let's see, which one was it? It was that one. Okay. I'm trying to debate, like, my worry is if I start stacking some of these units up for the extra defense, right? Because I can move this corps up, I can move this army up, and they could be stacked there. But if they take a big hit, then I could be losing more. And as it is, it's like extra lines they have to take and crush through the Germans. They don't get to take and just hit one hex with everything they got and mess them up. Plus, I want them spread out enough that I can take and start combining attacks across and do as much damage as possible. Let's see, we moved him. If I go 1, 2... buckle my shoe. I can get another corps over here, hold back that panzer. 1, 2, yeah, we'll put him right there. And I'm definitely thinking of pulling these guys off the Hungarian line because they're just not doing shit. This one does have a white movement factor, so I can pull him around. But damn, yeah, see? I was thinking on the last turn because moving this panzer up has slowed it down. He can move to here. And this one can go 1, 2, 3. He'll land there. These guys. Now I'm going to leave that. The infantry, the big army located there, it could take, it can't move because it's an enemy zone control, but the little tiny cavalry unit located on top of it could move, but I'm not going to move it because I want to keep the extra defense and attack located there. So I think that's going to be all of the movement I want to do across the line that I can do. I mean, they're all just bunched up right along the line. I'd like to pull this guards unit back, 1, but he can't do it, not in the special movements phase. That's not going to happen. And he's definitely going to get crushed or just end up rolling for attrition. I might just have him throw a Hail Mary attack and see if he might luck out doing some type of damage during the attack phase. Okay, is there anything else? Yeah, okay. There are some units here in the back that I'm just going to move up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Some of the ones that started farther back in the game, covering some of the victory hexes and some of the cities. I'm just pulling them up so they can get involved in it because I need as much here along the line as possible. And I've kind of started a secondary line back here to hold the Germans back if they bust through the next part of this line. So yeah, it's kind of recreated here. You can see the line is right about there where the Germans have punched up to, but then right here it drops off severely where they were trying and just have not made it across that river. It's been holding back. That little minor river right here has been the best defense for some reason. But it's holding me back here too, because there's another minor river here, and you can see that's where I haven't made a good advance. The best place where I made an advance was located right here, where a few were able to punch across the river, but they were also attacking from the other side of the river, got around behind the Russian units, and basically crushed everything in its pocket. Everything else along the line, the river's been holding it back all across the line. That's kind of neat that I can actually see that now. I mean, you can see how land features, where the forests are, where the rivers are, where the mountains are key defensive pieces of terrain that hold back your advances, and where you have your clear terrain is where you start, monkey stomping the enemy. Yeah, it's real neat just how games like this will take and mimic real life if they're done with the right rule system and all that crap. Really, really like that. All right, I think that's going to be it for my special movement phase. I don't think I can build anything up. It's just break it down, right? Let's see. Yeah, relocate your thing. Units may voluntarily break down. Yeah, so we can't build up anything. We don't have to worry about the brown rules there. Okay, so that takes care of us up until the declaration of the attack step. And I'm going to take and do probably what I did like last time. Oh, and before I forget, I need to take and put a countdown marker over there on that HQ. There we go. That one's marked down. So I don't forget that one isn't going to take effect for a few more turns. All right. I will take and do what I did last time, which is to take prior to the next video, and I'll go ahead and decide where all the attacks are going to happen up and down the line. Go ahead and have that all set out so the next video will be just straight up the Russian attack, whatever attacks they're going to pull off. And I'm telling you, the next one you guys saw from the air mat from earlier, there is a mess load of Russian aircraft that have not participated in the game up until this point, partly due to Blitzkrieg and partly due to my just taking it a little bit slow with the aircraft rules. But it ended up to where there was just a huge stack of Russian aircraft waiting to engage into this game, and there is not a whole lot of German stuff ready to take them on. So it's going to be the turn for them to throw in every piece of air they have to try to push the Germans back. And I think they're probably going to try to focus here. And even if they don't focus here, all they have to do is punch a hole somewhere where it's weak. And they have some units of an advantage. Like here, there's only one unit in this little spot just holding it. And while it might be across a river, if they throw in a bunch of extra aircraft there on top of it, they punch a hole, get a breakthrough, get some units there tucked in behind them, and they could end up getting a zone of control. All they have to do is get it over here and start forcing the Germans to try to retreat into it, do a hammer and anvil, kind of like the Germans did to them, and it could turn the tide. Get a unit over here somewhere, that would make a huge difference to not have the ability to fall back for the Germans. I mean, they're not going to need it. I don't think they're still so beefy, and I did get some nice beefed up infantry armies located throughout the line that I think will hold it along with the Panzer armies. But we'll see if the Russians get lucky with their, what we call it, the air incoming, what they call it in that thing, shock and awe. Yeah, the Russian shock and awe is coming on the next video. All right, that's going to be it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.